We are back. This is the second block. So we did our civic duty in talking about the really important thing about going to vote. If you haven't already voted, now we get into sort of the Alice in Wonderland. It's the special session, and it pretty much seemed like it was what everybody kind of expected. We covered it all last week. Our man, Vinay Simlot, was in Nashville to cover it, and he gives us a quick summary, which we want to show you right now about what happened in Nashville.
John, we ended the week on a stalemate between the House and the Senate. Remember, everybody's a Republican in this picture, but they're negotiating amongst themselves over how many bills they'll pass. The House wants to pass 27 bills this session. The Senate was happy passing 3. They tried to vote for adjournment on Thursday, but if the House doesn't also vote to end the special session, they can't end it. Meantime, if the Senate doesn't vote to approve those 27 bills that the House wants to consider, they don't pass the special session. This entire week, we've heard from Covenant parents who are asking lawmakers to do more about gun control, including a proposal by Governor Bill Lee on an extreme risk protection order, asking a judge to temporarily restrict a person with a mental illness from having a gun. That was not going to happen this entire session. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally was in favor of it, but said that he didn't have the votes to pass it. Meantime, House Speaker Cameron Sexton says they're going to keep working through the bills they want to pass, and it doesn't matter what the Senate does, they're going to keep working when they convene tomorrow. John?
That's our man, Vinay Simlot, who was in Nashville all week. Vinay, we appreciate that. And he'll be back tomorrow, Monday. We understand the House will convene tomorrow, 2 p.m. local time, Senate, 4 p.m. local time. As you recall, they're an hour behind us. And we will see what will happen tomorrow. You can bet they don't really want to be there, period. I think we were all sort of chuckling and surprised that they actually ended up going this additional day to Monday. They didn't work on Friday. All right, so there's a whole lot that didn't happen. There was a whole lot of talk, and I guess it's worth sort of kind of breaking down what we know. We had the House sort of very specific about the kinds of things it wanted to do. The Senate, a much more limited picture. And then you had all those people who went to the Capitol who were invested in seeking change and demanding change and even saying, you're not doing anything. Susan, you get first crack at this. I think you've got a list of some of the bills from the House, far different, really, than what we have seen come out of the Senate.
They're very different. I had Speaker Sexton send me the bills that had been passed and then the ones that are pending. There have been 22 bills introduced, and 7 have already passed, and then the rest will be up tomorrow.
And Susan, just for clarity, when you say pass, they passed out of the House floor. They're not law yet.
Right. Because the Senate, as you said, John, has only passed 4 bills in the Senate, and they're not even close to what the House has already passed. It's very, very different. And Don would say, well, none of them are about gun issues.
Which we thought was going to be the impetus, or one of the impetus.
Well, it's certainly what the parents of the Covenant school shootings wanted to see happen. And it's been very, I would say, disruptive in many ways. You've had thousands of protesters down there. You've had a lot of people in the galleries holding signs, which they banned.
And by the way, now they can. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's terribly disruptive.
Well, in committee hearings, the committees thought it was, and as you probably saw on Channel 10,
they weren't very pro-Republican signs.
Russell, who was the committee chairman,
who is from our area,
he had the troopers come and take the people out who were holding up signs.
That surprised a lot of people,
including the Covenant parents themselves.
Some of them were.
Some people who were just sitting there minding their own business, and
but
he
if
was
they were
like,
holding
"Well,
up
troopers,
a sign,
show everybody out."
Well, I understand they have to have rules. I get that. You have to. We've seen the Tennessee 3 that 2 of them were expelled earlier in the year from the session, but they did want some decorum, and I understand that. But I think what the House is doing, from what I can tell here, and again, there's 22 bills, most of them focus on mental health issues. Excuse me. There are quite a few that deal with gun safety, safe storage of firearms.
Gun locks.
Gun locks, that kind of. And the Senate has one on that. There was one bill passed in the Senate that would remove the sales tax on safes, which
Gun storage,
yeah,
boxes
gun
and
storage,
safes.
which is interesting. Another one would give you free gun locks, and we've been told by others that there's plenty of those already.
That's been happening for
Sitting around.
years,
Yeah,
right.
they're already,
Yeah.
we got them.
And then in the Senate, they've changed the deadline for courts to submit records for state background checks. And as Don would tell you, that's going to create, if it were to pass, and I don't necessarily expect it to, if it were to pass, it would create a lot of headaches for our
So
locals.
let me ask you, Susan, we got about 30 seconds before
Yeah.
we got to go to break. You know all the players here. What happens Monday?
Well, I think you're going to, I think you've got some real issues between the House and the Senate. I mean, the Senate clearly is not going to do much, and they're going to go home. They want to go home. The House is actually trying to pass some bills that might make a difference, particularly, again, in the mental health arena. So what happens, I'm guessing that none of those things will pass, and they will adjourn and go home.
Adjourn tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, all right. Well, it's always interesting, right? It's good theater, at least. Folks, we've got to take another break. You're watching Inside Tennessee. We'll talk a little bit more about the special session when we come back.